Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, depending on when you're listening to this beautiful podcast. But it is June 21st, and this is the Generous Degenerates. We have got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be recapping a little bit of the U.S. Open, talking some NBA news, and we've got a John Goodman draft tonight to celebrate the great John Goodman and his birthday. That was yesterday. Happy 71st, John. Let's have a good show. We are back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Corey. With me tonight is Aaron, and coming in hot, liking the stream early, is Mr. Bobby Lehman. Thanks for liking the stream, Bob. Appreciate you, big dog. Aaron, what's going on, buddy? How you been?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm doing all right. We had a nice little U.S. Open myself.
Yes, you did.
I know we had some good picks in general, but we probably one of my better calls of all time, I would say. Wyndham Clark, outright.
No, absolutely. Don't want to take anything away from that. It would have been better if it was like the only call you made, but hey, you made the call.
I think I had,
and you got it right.
I had 4 outright winners, but one of them was just a because of the FanDuel promotion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made that bet without the insurance.
And that wasn't one of them. And
that
locked it down.
Yeah. So
it was fantastic.
Feeling great. And we had the
we had 400 stars, Mr. Bobby Lehman. Thanks, buddy.
Let's go, bud. We had the Rom pick for the Masters, so we're 2 and 3. Had the Nuggets pick, but the most important one for here, Corey, was not hedging.
Yeah,
didn't hedge into it at all. Just said, I was like, the odds are so long. I'm willing to lose this money for what it could be. I could have thrown $80 on Rory and just been like, all right, well, make some good money. But no,
Todd, thanks for liking the stream, buddy. So no, and you let it ride, and it paid off. And I had a pretty good U.S. Open as well. I had Wyndham Clark top 10, Ricky Fowler top 10, DJ top 20, Fitzpatrick top 20. So we cleaned up. We kind of cleaned up.
Some good ones. Yeah, we actually kind of did. I had the what's funny is one of the ones I had was the parlay of Clark and Fowler top 40, which of course is the final pairing, which is pretty cool. So that one wasn't in jeopardy. And then of course the only other one I had there was the Jason Day to miss the cut, which was actually a pretty good payoff. So
yeah, good for
you. It was a good time, man. I had a great time.
Yeah,
plus I went golfing. I went golfing that day
on Father's Day.
Yeah. Pace of play very slow.
Terrible.
But what can you expect? I played like one of my absolute favorite courses around here.
Nice.
Had a pretty average front.
Go ahead, give him a shout out. Give him a shout out.
Oh, Shale Creek down in Medina here. If you want to sponsor the podcast, feel free.
Bring it on, baby.
But yeah, it was great, man. I had a pretty average front, bad first 2 holes on the back 9. And then went 2 under for the last 7. Or I'm sorry, 2 over for the last 7. So
hell yeah.
Ended up cleaning up with a 93 for a round I shouldn't have had. It's pretty good.
So a good for Father's Day?
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, all right. I'm just trying to give you pride. I mean, you're a dog dad.
No, I don't say that crap.
Good.
I mean, I do.
I appreciate it. Just as someone that has an actual irony, child.
But if someone's like, oh my God, my kids wouldn't sleep last night, I'm never like, oh, I hear you.
And it's in there. The dog kept me up all night.
I'm like, no, I get to leave him for 8 hours a day. And when I'm like, all right, he's fucking fine. Whatever.
Can't put a kid in a cage. I mean, you can, but
you can.
Only if never mind.
Only if the other kid's not a narc.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh boy. But no, thanks for asking. I had a good Father's Day.
How was your Father's Day, Corey?
Thank you. It was fantastic. It was great. I got to go down to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Went down to Cincinnati to see my dad. Saturday, spent it all day by the pool. It was great. The kids were in the pool for like a solid 9 hours, I believe, is what they spent in the pool.
How hard did they sleep?
They slept like 11 hours straight through. It was amazing.
Dude, even to this day, pool sleep just hits different.
It does. It absolutely does. You spent like all day out on the beach. You're just in the sun. The sun really takes it out of you. It's not really a phrase you say until you get to about our age or more.
Or we needed the rain.
Oh man, we needed the rain, and boy, do we ever here in
boy,
Michigan. I mean, geez, Louise. But no, I tried something this weekend I had never had before. I had the hard Mountain Dew. Have you had these yet?
I have not. I've had the hard Sunny D.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, as long as you
I'm
liked
in.
Sunny D as a kid, it literally
Hold
tastes
on,
the exact.
are there people that didn't?
I'm sure, but or if there's people that didn't really have it, because it's kind of like a unique taste. You know what I mean? It's not really
it's not orange.
juice.
It's orange
Yeah.
drink, right?
Orange
I believe
drink.
is yeah.
Yeah. But talk to me about these hard Mountain Dews, because I'm not a huge Mountain Dew guy anyway.
Well, that's weird, but they're delicious and they're in like pretty much
my doctor tells me I need to up my dew intake.
Yeah, for sure. So they Baja Blast is the flavor that I had, which is delicious.
I'd mess around with that.
It pretty much just kind of tastes like a Mountain Dew Zero is kind of what it tastes like because there's no sugar. But they're delicious. I mean, they're great. I can't drink like a 6-pack of them, but I could have like 1 or 2 for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Just get the party started
like
a little
Guinness.
bit. Yeah, just get it going. I could drink a lot of Guinness, I think.
Okay.
I'd like to.
I don't want a 6-pack of Guinness.
If it's St. Patrick's Day, absolutely I do.
Maybe.
You could. So do you recall Bob's favorite beer to chug? Bob, our former college roommate.
Was it Guinness?
It was Guinness. If you asked Bob to chug a beer or do a chugging contest, he would go to Guinness because it's actually a smoother beer than like a Bud Light or something like that. And he can drink it way faster than it because it's just a smoother beer. Bobby coming in with a question here. He said Sunny D or Capri Sun?
It's a great question.
Capri Sun.
I'm going Capri Sun too because Sunny D is one flavor.
That's true.
Am I feeling
I don't know that I could necessarily
Mountain Cooler or what were they like?
Yeah, I think they're just kind of all just like general fruit drink.
Yeah,
like, I don't necessarily have like this flavor is the best. I guess there was like a cherry. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, there's like a fruit where there's like a fruit punch one.
Either way, you turned into a translucent morph of a human being, and you then became really good at all versions of every sport.
Just turned into the Silver Surfer, and
you could skateboard, go down drains in the middle of a drained out pool. It was cool. It was pretty. Chicks digged it, so that was cool. This is the best part about Capri Sun for sure.
They started to market it towards like adults, where they were selling it in actual like jars, not jars, but like plastic bottles.
Just a guy on the side of a road with mason jars.
Yeah,
hi Chris. Capri Sun.
I remember seeing some like when I first got out of college, like at the Giant Eagle or the grocery store that had it, and I was like, "That's weird." Like,
so it's just like a vitamin water.
No, I mean no, in like a like a liter like the same size that you get Sunny D in.
Okay, interesting.
But there's something about the Capri Sun that you need to stab it first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really set it off.
It's cathartic for sure.
And then you're like, I only want maybe 3 sips of this,
or just like this,
right?
Gone.
Yeah, that's what I would do in our chugging contest. I'm like, anyone have any Capri Sun? I will take a bitch down.
My kids are huge into the Kool-Aid jammers right now.
Are those They
look like jugs? Capri Suns. No, they look like Capri Suns.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, those are better.
Yeah, Kool-Aid
because Kool-Aid's better.
It's delicious. It's fantastic.
It's just sugar water.
Yeah,
and some food dye.
Yeah. So I went golfing on Father's Day, as is tradition.
Of course.
And I witnessed a hole-in-one.
Really?
It was amazing. It was like 175 yards. It was the group behind us, so I literally was right there, and it just like stuck into the ground, maybe 7-8 inches away from the hole, and rolled, and then bit back into the hole. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was one of the greatest golf shots I've ever witnessed in person.
How nuts were they going?
Crazy, absolutely crazy. Hugging, throwing shit. Yeah, it was nuts. It was.
Did you stick around at the end for the free drinks?
So he was in our group. It was a large group scramble that we do on Father's
so you knew
Day.
The person. It wasn't just.
I didn't know him, but he was with
like you guys were all in the same.
Correct.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So he bought a round at the clubhouse afterwards. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That does seem a little backwards, but I like the tradition.
Yeah, no, it's absolute horseshit for if you're the guy. It's like, God damn it, I just had the greatest day of my life. It's like hole-in-one, wedding, kids, but hole-in-one's first.
But hole-in-one is definitely first, yeah.
And then now I have to, go in the hole $150 buying beers for mostly people I don't really like. And that's
for a bunch of just bad golfers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, clearly you can afford lessons, buy us around, dickwad.
Right.
Like, that's basically, I don't get it.
I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but the golf game's good then? How was it playing in the
Yeah. No, I think we used my drive nine times. So out of a group of 4, I had at least half the drives, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I've been playing really good. Just won the first half championship of the league. So of my Friday night golf league here. So chipped in for birdie on the third playoff hole. It was amazing. I was on cloud 9 for a while.
I know, because you started talking about how you could compete in the LPGA Tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is complete bullshit.
Whether or not it's bullshit isn't really the point, Aaron. I think the whole point. Well, the point here is that I was a man on a mission,
right?
And a man that could not be stopped.
The chip in to win is impressive. I will.
I had a hard time getting into the car because of how big my nuts were. That's
concerning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably all the Mountain Dew.
Mike could. Mountain Dew's no. You just fucked Pepsi over as a sponsor, Aaron. So there is that.
I don't think so.
They were this close. They were this close.
We had the paperwork all drawn up, and they're
dude,
like, one of your on-air talent.
Aaron, over the weekend some other crazy shit has been happening. Have you seen that apparently rich people have never been more bored and have decided to go to the depths of hell to look at the Titanic for themselves?
Real quick, didn't realize how close the Titanic wreckage actually was. Like there's like it's like south of Nova Scotia, but they're showing it on a map and they're like, here's Boston. Like, wait, what? So there's that. And I felt like definitely someone who couldn't afford that. Not the funny thing, obviously, like, listen, life is life. I know it's become kind of like a meme and everything like that. There is some irony to all these, billionaires having this tragedy happen to them because of cost cutting. That strikes with me. That's the reason
that
tickles my funny bone.
Tell me about that. The reason they're lost is because they were cutting corners on.
So like they like didn't have the, they built this thing very cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of side skirting regulations on it.
Wow.
Because who's out here regulating,
deep sea tourism.
Right. Exactly. That, while there are some, but basically there was like an employee who was on record that was like, that they fired, who was like, this is not suitable for anything below 1,300 feet, pressure. And they're like, we'll take it to 4. And they had done it before, and they're steering it with like, you know how when you have kids over at your house and you're playing video games,
okay,
obviously they get the
crusty controller, the one that you played with like Doritos dust on your hand.
And it's not name brand. It's not Nintendo.
It's Logitech.
Logitech. That's the exact brand. That's what they were using to steer this ship.
Oh,
was a Logitech controller. It was like a modified Logitech PlayStation controller.
Bro.
Yeah. Now, I will say there is some precedent for this. Like the Navy, the Army, like the Air Force do use like legitimate Xbox controllers. And the reason they do that is because their recruits have a level of familiarity with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot easier to now for stuff that's
and it desensitizes them. It's like, I'm not killing
honestly
people.
That's kind of part of it. Like when you're like flying a drone on an Xbox controller. Now it's not flying like F-22.
We get a loadout.
Yeah, right. Bro, why are you always reloading? Like, what if somebody comes around the corner? I need a full clip. So, anyways, it's kind of wild. And the not irony, but me and Mary were watching just randomly. We were trying to catch up on those like Jeopardy Masters, like on Hulu, like from the whatever. And the episode, we hadn't watched it in like a month and a half. The episode that we started watching, the guy, you know how they do, Ken does the like interviews in between.
Sure.
One of the guys was like, yeah, I went on one of those like deep sea Titanic things. And like, I look at Mary and I'm like, oh my God, can you believe that? She didn't even hear about the story. So we paused Jeopardy for like 30 minutes to go down like a
Let me bring you up
hole.
to speed.
I was like, let me tell you why this is wild.
Yeah.
She's like, can we just watch the show? And I'm like, no.
Dude, what are the like I forget who told me, it might have been my wife. It was just like somebody was just like, I guarantee you what happened is somebody was down there and they're like, all right, here's the Titanic. Here, look out this window, and here it is. And then like some dude was like, yo, how much? Take me inside of it. Take me inside the fucking Titanic. And they're just like fucking stuck in there.
I doubt it.
Dude, what then? So why, where have they gone? Where are they? Why can
I mean, there's like ledges.
why can't they just dump ballast and start running up? Is this the worst way to die ever?
In the dark or surrounded by a piss jug? Yeah.
Dude. So let me ask you this. Deep space or deep ocean? Which one is more scary for you to go to? You got to go to one. Which one? Like you're going to go like just in between like the moon and Mars. Or just past the moon.
How about just like in between the moon and the earth is a huge deal.
That's pretty scary. But I said deep space. You know what I
so
mean?
like, have you seen the graph of like where the Titanic is and like
outer
where
space?
James Cameron?
Yeah, it's like 15,000 feet below sea level. Where? 12,000.
I'd rather go to space. I think I'd rather go to space.
I absolutely would rather go to space. Infinitely.
Yeah, that'd be a lot cooler way to go out,
dude.
Because I would be like, I'm Bruce Willis.
You get a shuttle named after you.
Yeah.
You know, people that die in the ocean, they get like a shitty George Clooney movie and like a statue in a nowhere Massachusetts town.
Okay, first of all, I take umbrage to that. Shitty George Clooney. Are you talking about The Perfect Storm? Are you going to call that a shitty movie?
I'm talking about The Perfect Storm. You're going to tell me Diane and Wahlberg were dating?
Diane Lane?
I'm not buying it. Yeah, she's like 6 years older than him. I'm not buying it. She's going to settle down with some shitty crab.
But you're going to believe every movie with George Clooney?
Settle down with some shitty crab fisherman?
Hell yeah, dude. In that town, that's the talent.
Oh,
you don't know what you're talking about.
You're right. Mark Wahlberg is a
he is the best looking guy in that town who smells like dead fish. That's not named George Clooney.
I was gonna say George Clooney. I mean,
yeah. Somehow it doesn't smell like fish.
Doesn't
make sense.
Beautiful man.
Casamigos.
Beautiful. Great tequila. Also,
I'm more on the Terramana, the rocks one.
Dude. Yeah, Terramana. Oh, I used to have Terramana's fantastic.
I used to have some.
Right here. I
drank all of it.
Right here, and then I put it right here, and then it went through here, and it made me feel.
What's your? So here, I'm gonna put it to you this way. In the summer,
give it to me, baby.
Or how about I put it this way? When it gets to like winter, can't listen to Sublime. Just can't do it. Can't do it. The second I can roll my window down in my car, I can put Sublime back on. So what is your, in the spirit of that, what is your like summer cocktail?
Dude, you do not have that. I literally have that right here. Summer cocktails. Serious? I had to ask you, what are your summer cocktails? This is
perfect transition.
I'm prepared. I
love this.
This is synergy at its finest. So my number one favorite of like my all-time favorite, it's not necessarily what I'm feeling right now, but this is the consistent one. It is Kentucky Sunshine, which is bourbon and lemonade.
Okay.
Bourbon and lemonade. It's delicious.
Specifically, I'm a big fan of bourbon and blueberry lemonade.
Ooh.
I don't know if that fits into the thing there, but bourbon lemonade. The problem is with bourbon,
I
got a pretty nice.
I got to get too fast.
I got a pretty nice shelf going. I won't mix it because it's like good bourbon. Now I have it sitting right here.
Well, yeah, you could do like a Jim Beam.
I have this, which makes it look nicer. This is just Jim Beam.
Yeah.
But I put it in a nice glass to go with the rest of the.
Yeah, because you're self-conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you can, because I'm like, no, dude, I can't
try some of this, dude.
I'm sure I've told you the story 1,000 times because Mary will tell it too. One time she mixed my Wellers with like Jim Beam, and I had to, or not Jim Beam. I'm sorry, with ginger ale, and I like had to sit her down. I was like, listen. I know you don't know the rules here. Yeah. Okay, everyone makes mistakes, but we're not doing that.
Yeah, I
without
mean,
beams for.
it's
If you're
all
gonna
right.
mix it with shit.
I made like yesterday. I mixed like Makers and like
Makers is still
still that
that's fine.
lower, more
Yeah.
common, but like like a craft, if you will, bourbon that
I think the
typically a
highest I would
sipping.
go with mixing is like Bullet.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
Bullet.
like Bullet.
Yeah,
Bullet and Makers, I think, are in the same.
yeah. I wouldn't
arena.
necessarily. I will sip Makers and I will
Makers
sip
is a
Bullet,
little too sweet for me,
but I
but it does
prefer.
make a good mixer.
I'll mix Woodford as well. I don't have a problem mixing
Woodford is I think fake nice.
Yeah. I think that's a fair. So, Kentucky Sunshine or a bourbon and lemonade. Next one is a tequila and like squirt or Fresca, like a grapefruit soda, like tequila and soda, like a grapefruit soda, and then vodka sodies. Those are my favorite. Those are my top 3 cocktails.
So vodka soda is like my standby wedding drink. So I don't necessarily consider that like a summer
winter weddings though, typically.
Well, I'll have some vodka sodas at a winter wedding. It's a very nice like.
I thought you were asking me, but
keeps you light. No, I am. The reason I'm saying it is because is to transition to this and say in the summer I want you to try this because this is my go-to right now.
Let's hear it.
It's tequila soda with a splash of pineapple.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
Not a mix of just a little. Hey, how you doing?
A little kiss on the cheek.
You know what? Hey, how you doing? It's so good. It's my go-to right now.
Whenever I'm like on a work trip or something like that, or we're at like a cocktail bar or something like that, I will order that. I don't know what it's called, so I just called it my tequila monster and my tequila Frankenstein. That's what I call it, tequila Frankenstein. I just don't know what it's called.
Brings you back to life.
Well, it's just like by the end of the night,
Right. Well, that's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein was the doctor. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
God.
People make that mistake all the time.
Mary Shelley reference for 600, Alex. Rest in peace.
I'm also a sucker for just a classic margarita. Great summer drink. And
no sour mix though, right?
What's that?
We want a handmade, fresh squeezed citrus
with the triple sec and the for sure.
Don't give me sour mix.
When I'm at home, I will use just like margarita mix, just because it's like. But obviously, if I'm going to like a real place that's going to make a margarita, I will not let them just pour in margarita mix. But if I'm just at home and fucking
boat drinks, see, this is where it kind of splinters from summer drinks to boat drinks because boat drinks you have to also think convenience. You don't want to.
It's in a can.
You don't want to bring out 900 things out there. Definitely don't want to bring out glass if you can help it. Costco margaritas, Kirkland brand margaritas, pre-made with alcohol. Just put some ice in, dump them in. They're fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic.
You know what the move is, and this ties into my last summer drink. You make a big jug of it, bring it on the boat, dude. Sangria.
Oh, okay.
Red sangria.
Yeah,
love it.
A little red wine, some Sprite, and some fruit,
and some fresh fruit in there.
Yeah. Okay. I did.
Are you on the long drink train yet? You have
the long drink.
Long drink. It's in a can. It's like a gin and citrus.
Is it like a Long Island iced tea, basically?
No, it's like its own thing. It's just called long drink. It's like
long
a finish.
Drink. Does it take a while to finish it? Why is it?
I don't know. It's just the name. Why is anything? Why is it called Modelo? I don't know.
Probably the family that started it, but
we
can go on.
It's from Doug Long Drink. I don't know. Either way, try it. I like it. It's good.
Okay,
I think you'd like it.
So it's a gin based can.
Yeah, and I don't like. Here's the endorsement on it. I hate gin.
Interesting. There are some gins that you should probably try. They're like sipping gins. There are gins that are like floral or like they have like cucumber.
My problem with gin is I drink it and it's liquid and it dries out my mouth. And there's
I went through a G&T phase in college.
Yeah,
I went through
a big tonic guy.
A big New Amsterdam gin and tonic. Went through that phase for a while. Yeah, it's just that's one of those drinks where like the ones that like have scarred you, like you went too far.
Southern Comfort. I can't smell it.
It's a good call on that one. Yeah, Captain Morgan for me.
Ooh, I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah,
that's always one of my favorite questions to ask like a new
like a first date.
Well, sure. Yeah, that would be a good first date question if she's down like to drink and stuff. Otherwise, it's like, so tell me, where did your life go sideways? And why are you like who you are now? So just depending, you'll feel it out. Maybe
feel it
second
out.
date.
See what she thinks, guys. See what she thinks. Welcome to the dating
If
corner.
she recommended
recording
coffee over bar, then maybe don't bring it up.
Good call. Good call.
Just trying to
All right, man.
wingman our boys out here.
It is the day after the great John Goodman's birthday.
Yeah, happy solstice to you, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. First day of summer. Summer has officially started. John Goodman is 71 years old. So we thought to celebrate John Goodman's birthday, we would do a draft of our favorite roles / movies that John Goodman has been.
We just said roles because we can do TV.
Yeah, it can be TV, movies, just our favorite to celebrate John Goodman. And I've got my power. What, we do 4 rounds here?
Sure.
I think that makes sense.
Are we doing snake? Are we doing just back to back?
I think snake makes sense in a 2-person draft. I think that makes the most sense.
Okay.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Siri is going to flip a coin for us, Aaron.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and call it now.
I'll take heads.
Hey Siri, flip a coin.
Tails.
It is tails. I know you can't see that, but it's tails.
Well, we already know what the first pick is, so go ahead and
ladies and gentlemen,
get us into it.
Walter Sobchak, one of the
Obviously.
greatest roles of all time. With the 1-1 pick, I am taking The Big Lebowski for the John Goodman draft. I mean, no brainer, right?
I mean, no brainer.
Yeah, like,
we can sit here and go through every single quote, and we could probably get through them all because, you know, this is who we are as people. But I mean, let's face it, The Big Lebowski is a big part of our college experience, I would say. There was a lot of post-bar nights where we're like, just throw The Big Lebowski on, dude, and let's go to sleep. But Walter, just an absolute elite character, over the line. You're out of your element, like just things I yell in my everyday life, especially bowling, you know?
Yeah,
it's like similar to like when you're on the golf course and you're like dropping Happy Gilmore lines. You can't walk into a bowling alley without hearing something from Walter.
Yes. It's like, what's he say? He's like, plus, you know, having a amphibious rodent, you know, for domestic within city limits, that ain't legal either, dude.
It's so stupid. I'll get you a toe.
I'll get you a
toe at 3 o'clock with a little nail polish on. It's fucking amateurs, dude.
Yeah, fucking amateurs. So if you haven't watched The Big Lebowski as an ordained Dudist priest, please.
Which Corey actually did my wedding as an ordained Dudist priest, which was great. So of course this is the number 1 pick. Yeah, so if you have to do it, and you're narrowed down to 1 quote from Walter in The Big Lebowski.
Ooh. Oh shit. Okay. 1 quote, or can I do a soliloquy? Because
you can do like a quote or like a couple line, you know,
a moment,
like a back and forth that may, a moment.
I think the funniest moment for Walter in The Big Lebowski is when he is giving Donnie's eulogy and he says,
Donnie was a good man.
Donnie was a good man, taken way before his time. Oh, sweet Lord, just like many of the boys out on Hill 9 in Saigon.
He's like, what the fuck? Why is it always a fucking tragedy with you, Walter?
Why and then, of course, fucking Vietnam with you,
the
man?
Folgers can that just goes over. I mean, what a great scene.
Face.
Donnie was a good bowler and a good man. So if I have to pick one, it's when they're going back and forth at the bowling alley, and the dude is like, "Will you come off of it, Walter? You're not fucking Jewish, man." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "So what do you say? When you get divorced, you turn in your library card, you get a new license, you stop being Jewish?" It's just, it gets me every time.
What does he say?
Of course,
2,000 years of tradition from Moses all the way to, what does he say? Is it Sandy Koufax? You're goddamn right.
Or God, who's the like, this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass, Larry.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. Is that Larry character the greatest non-speaking performance in cinema history?
Yes.
Just him sitting there, just it's so good.
Do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens? Do you see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass?
It's oh, it's so good.
Phenomenal.
So good.
So had to go Big Lebowski 1-1. All right, Aaron. Second overall pick. You've actually got the second and the third here. What do we got?
This is going to be a complete 180 here from Walter.
Okay.
I gotta go Sully with Monsters Inc.
Oh wow, on my list.
I mean,
Jaden, thanks for liking the stream.
The
buddy.
iconicness of it, the sequels. He even shows up in like in what Cars is like the Sully car.
Yeah,
you know, it has so much life to it. You know, Monsters Inc. was the first movie outside of Toy Story that really gave Pixar its, you know, the life that I think it has now, and I think it's very easily forgotten because it was Toy Story, Bugs Life. Bugs Life was fine.
My kids love it.
Monsters Inc. is absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go Sully just on the name alone. Now I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite role of John Goodman, obviously Walter, but I wouldn't even say it's like my second. Mm-hmm. But when you're drafting, you can't take up a sure thing like Sully with Monsters Inc. I think it's synonymous with who John Goodman is.
Jaden, come in here with
two sides of who John Goodman is, right? You
absolutely wholesome,
Walter, and then you're like, all right, let's bring it in for the family.
Yeah. Jaden, come in with a comment. What's up, Jaden? Long time no talk, buddy. Hope you're doing well. He says, how about them Red Legs? 11 wins in a row, Aaron.
You fading that yet, or what's going on?
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. It really, really hurts. But it's fantastic. As you mentioned, hedging my happiness every time I bet against you.
And it happens, and that's okay.
So, yeah, it is. It's all right. And big test coming up for the Reds as they will be hosting the Atlanta Braves in their next series. 7 other last 8 the Reds have won. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for another Rally Towel Sports podcast where Todd and Bobby, we're going to be deep diving into some more baseball for sure. Jaden, thanks again for coming by, buddy. All right, Aaron, third pick.
So this is a little newer.
But
I can't let this one leave without being on my board, and it's Eli Gemstone. It's Eli Gemstone. Would it have been?
Yeah, it was going to be.
Because it should have been.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. The Righteous Gemstones.
If you watch the 2 newest ones, I'm not going to talk spoilers, but I'm just curious if you have.
Not yet.
Okay.
Finishing up Ted Lasso first.
Oh, fair enough. Enjoy that.
And I realized I'm a full 2 seasons behind on The Marvelous Miss Maisel, so I'm watching that as well.
You know, I haven't watched that.
You'd love it.
I'm sure I would. She's like a stand-up from like the 50s or something, or like I'm sure I would love it.
Yeah.
There's just so many shows. But now that we don't have Netflix anymore, I'm looking for new stuff.
Me either, dude. Good for you.
Yeah,
Fuck
dude,
those
I'm standing
guys.
strong. I'm standing strong. I'm not letting them. I'm not going to be the reason that their stock goes up for earnings, which is going to do anyway.
We got this.
So many people caved.
Pussies, you're weak.
So yeah. Anyways, so if you're not watching The Righteous Gemstones, you absolutely have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, John Goodman is the perfect cast for this role, and just think Joel Osteen. That is the family of the Gemstones. They're a preaching Christian family
Billy
from
Graham.
South Carolina. Right. And Eli Gemstone is the upstanding, if you will, patriarch of it all, where he has these just 3 brat kids. Of course, you know, Danny McBride, Adam Devine, and I forget her name, but she's
remember her name.
She's phenomenal.
She's fucking hilarious. And then the friend, what's the friend that they turned away from Satan? What's the character's name?
Oh God, what's his name? I just watched the last 2 episodes and I'm forgetting. It's not Jeremy, is it? It's
I can't remember. I can't remember either, but God damn it, his character is so funny. Absolutely hilarious. Great.
I'll look it up while we're doing
Monsters Inc. and Righteous Gemstones. Good pick.
Yeah, absolutely had to go with those. So it's Edie Patterson is the girl. And then Keith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keith.
Of course. So those will be my 2 picks there. Monsters Inc., Righteous Gemstones, John Goodman.
All right. For the 4th overall pick, my second pick, I'm gonna go a little more old school here, and something that I think we all were introduced to John Goodman. I'm gonna go Roseanne.
Not on my board because I wasn't.
I love that show.
Yeah, was his name Connor? Their last name was the Connors.
Yeah, the Connors. His name was Dan.
Dan.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. I'm not knocking the pick at all. That's exactly where that should go.
Yeah. And he's phenomenal in it, and he is an all-American dad.
Yes.
He is loves to drink beer, loves his family and his wife, and stands up for what's right. God damn it.
Yeah.
Has a couple of heart attacks in there. What a good American man doesn't. Okay. And they actually kind of tied him along with when he actually had heart attacks, I believe. It's kind of how they tied that into there. And he fought domestic violence in this program, stood up for his children,
the irony of Roseanne
them.
is it was actually a fairly progressive show.
Yeah. Well,
there was like
looking back now at Roseanne Barr.
Now, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about for the irony. Because I remember that I watched it a little bit, but I do remember at the time how big of a deal it was, where it was like Roseanne's friend, like, came out as gay. Like, that was a big story plot.
Her sister used to get like beat up by her boyfriend.
And Sarah Chalke was in that show, who played oh God, what was her name? She was the blonde girl on Scrubs. She was one of the daughters. Becky. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, you don't get like 8 or 9 seasons and a reboot by not being relevant.
Sure.
So while it isn't my cup of tea per se, I can't knock that pick. It's absolutely needs to be taken off the board. So I'm great with that.
All right, next one on the list. I am gonna go with a movie that he's in with another guy that we already had mentioned. Okay. I'm gonna go with The Gambler.
Oh,
movie with Mark Wahlberg. I believe he kind of plays like the casino boss type hard ass guy.
Yeah, I think I saw that
fucking
one
hands
time.
And shit. Yeah.
But I remember that, like the trailer for that movie, they just made him the most menacing, fucking guy.
Yeah, he does a very good job in that one as well. Kind of an underrated John Goodman movie there. So we got The Gambler kicking it off for the third round. Just to recap, number 1 overall, The Big Lebowski had to be done. Followed by Aaron's 2 picks in his back-to-back, Monsters, Inc., and then The Righteous Gemstones. And then finishing out the second round, we had Roseanne. Starting the third round, I took The Gambler. Aaron, what do you have for the final pick in the third round?
So you kind of helped me out making my 2-3 pick by mentioning this pre-show, but I can't let this slide any further. I'm going with John Chambers and Argo. If you haven't seen Argo,
no, I've seen Argo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like honestly one of my favorite movies of like the last 10 years.
Wow. That's saying something.
It's really, really good. And Ben Affleck's great in it. He directed it. He won the Oscar for Best Director that year. But John Chambers in Argo plays the guy at the studio who's in charge of like hair and makeup or prosthetics more appropriately. And he teams up with Alan Arkin's character, who's basically like, the big shot Hollywood guy, to make this a legitimate operation to, save the hostages out of Iran that are hiding out in the Canadian embassy. And just the John Goodman, Alan Arkin dynamic in that movie is just unmatched. And of course, there's just one line in that movie, and I'll butcher it, but it's like, John Goodman's like, so you came to Hollywood to pitch a fake movie that's never going to be made and pretend you're a producer. He's like, yeah, basically. And he's like, you came to the right town. And it's like, he's like, pretend you're a big shot. It's like, yeah, it's perfect. If you haven't seen Argo,
it's been a while. I think I've only seen it once. So
it's on. What's funny, we talked about that last week on the pod because we were talking about plane movies. And that was one of the most recent plane movies I had seen. It's such a great action movie, but I love stories where it's like, oh, by the way, this is also like based on a true story. Obviously there's some embellishments just like anything, but real story. A great cast too. Bryan Cranston's in it.
Yeah.
Arkin, Goodman. Great cast.
Good pick. All right. So kick us off for round 4. What you got?
So knowing that TV was on the board, I am taking John Goodman, Saturday Night Live host.
Okay.
What? How does that not? He's
one
of the all-time hosts of all. We're talking Blues Brothers. We're talking fucking all-time characters here, bro.
All right.
Not only that, 13. And unlike like Steve Martin or like Alec Baldwin, who have been doing it forever, John Goodman really hasn't hosted in a really, really long time. So there's also this nostalgia of it.
How many times has he hosted?
13, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. John Goodman was a frequent. He's like, I think, the third highest host of all time behind Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And he was in his heyday was on the, like with like Will Ferrell, like that Belushi, group of guys. Yeah. Well, no, because a little bit after that, when he was hosting a lot, he basically replaced Belushi for the Blues Brothers.
Got you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So
now.
Dan Aykroyd.
Sure.
And one of his best characters he had was the diabetes guy, like on the horse. He's like, I'm gonna get off this horse onto a smaller horse, onto a pony, onto a very large dog. It's just so good. And I just feel like you can't talk John Goodman. And I know a lot of people are sour on SNL now, but SNL was always good when you were a kid, and that's who was always on.
I like SNL now. I still do. It's just I rock it till about Weekend Update, and then I'm kind of like checked out by that point.
Yeah, because that's kind of what you're tuning in for.
Yeah, the monologue.
It depends on who the host is.
What is it? Broken window. What's the fucking?
Do Not Destroy.
Yeah, Do Not Destroy.
They're
clips.
very good.
They're fucking hilarious. And there's
depends on the host. Like when Travis Kelce was hosting, I was I'm gonna check this out. It was so fantastic.
Funny. It's so funny. Absolutely. The American Girl doll skit.
My favorite was the pre-recorded like straight male friend. Have you tried straight male friend? No, it's like Bo and Yang is like, he's gay, but like they're doing it like it's a drug commercial, and he's like, I love my girlfriends,
yes,
but they can be a lot. He's like, so that's why my doctor prescribed me. He's like, you want to get some wings, dude?
yeah. All right. You've kind of left me up in the air here, but I need to finish out this lineup. I've got the hard-hitting comedy. I've got the TV show. I've got the underrated role. Now I need to tie it together with something a little bit more wholesome, because John Goodman has that.
Yeah.
So for the final pick, I'm going with probably one of the more underrated Disney movies of all time.
I think I know where you're going.
An absolutely loaded cast.
I think I know where you're going.
David Spade and John Goodman. We're going Emperor's New Groove. And if you're talking about syndicated or multiple, I mean, there's like 7 or 8 different adaptations of the Emperor's
New
Groove.
After school special. There's the
Emperor's New School or whatever. There's so many on there. So yeah, final pick of the John Goodman draft, Emperor's New Groove. Fantastic.
I absolutely love that.
Honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions for me are Glenn Allen Walker in The West Wing. He's got a 4-episode arc where he plays the Republican Speaker of the House.
Sure.
And Jeb Bartlett, his daughter is kidnapped. So in order to preserve the presidency, which again, now sounds like complete science fiction to think about this, because no one's doing any of this now. But basically it invokes the 25th Amendment against himself, because he feels like he can't be the president of the country by, having his daughter being kidnapped, because he can't make partial judgment. And at this time, the vice president is also resigned. So they're in the middle of trying to fill that role. And so that means by the power of the Constitution that the Speaker of the House becomes president. And that's John Goodman. He does a really, really good job in it, and really, really good arc. You got any others? I have one more, but I'm going to throw
out the Flintstones here, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Had to be the Flintstones. I mean,
It's just not a great movie.
It's not a great movie, but when I was a kid, it was just like, oh, the Flintstones, cool, and it's like real, and I was all about it.
Yeah. The only other one I have is the reboot or Frosty Returns, Frosty the Snowman.
10 Cloverfield Lane. It's another one.
That's one that I was talking to you about offline where I just haven't seen it, but I know it's like
it's dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your John Goodman draft. Some other things happening in the world of sports, Aaron. Let's kick it over to some NBA action here. First things first, Michael Jordan selling his stake in the Charlotte Hornets. Michael Jordan no longer being involved in the ownership of that team. I think he had been in ownership for 13 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Catching a lot of flack about his involvement in that team and or lack thereof, and the lack of success that organization has seen for a very long time, maybe even before his ownership. In your opinion, does this do anything to tarnish the legacy of Michael Jordan?
No. I mean, we see so many players move into executive roles and even like play-by-play roles or, like media roles. And it's, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was one of the only guys who had the billions of dollars to front to actually own a team. So there was something very unique about that part of it where, Michael Jordan had such an equity stake in sports that he could actually reach out and grab one of these teams as somebody who, grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. And it wasn't like he bought the Bulls or he bought the Wizards or a team he played for. No, he bought the team from where he's from relatively, because I know Charlotte and Wilmington aren't exactly close, but, home state for sure. So there was something about that, as well as, at the time it was thought, having a former player in these owners meeting was only going to be a benefit to the players. But I just don't feel like any of that, actually transcribed. Let's face it, Jordan has always been on record as somebody who's about himself and not necessarily about the betterment of others.
And that's exactly where I'm headed with this one, Aaron.
Yeah.
I think, the guy bought in for $275 million and just sold his share for $3 billion. He's a businessman.
Knocking his business acumen. Yeah. I mean, this is the guy who says Republicans buy shoes too. That was kind of where I was going with my comment. Like, his draft picks were atrocious. I mean, what he started off with, because he had a minority stake in the Wizards, and then after he played, he was there because he did the Kwame Brown. Honestly, I'm thinking Kemba Walker might have been his best draft pick ever. It's not like the Hornets or the Bobcats or whoever they've been have had, a trajectory of success. I can't think of any big name free agent that they've brought in. So it's not like the allure of Michael Jordan was helping them. If I'm a Hornets fan, I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I think new blood at this point is probably what you want. You're sitting there with the number 3 pick. Hopefully Scoot can be there for you tomorrow. That's something, that'll be interesting to see as well. But, I guess you can say I'd still take Kemba, but, Lonzo has been, a good player. But the point is it's it's not like I thought Michael Jordan, the owner, was going to show up at practice and, back these kids down and breathe some life into it. And that's just not the case. The guy wanted to golf. The guy wanted to gamble. The guy wanted to, be Michael Jordan.
Be retired.
Yeah.
Fuck them kids, man.
Kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see this as anything but a positive if I'm a fan of the Charlotte Hornets.
It's a positive for the fans. It's positive for the organization. It's a positive, obviously, for Michael Jordan's bank account. And
negative might be to the NBA because it was always nice to have Jordan around the game.
Yeah, but was he he was at the games, but it wasn't the Hornets were never good, so it never got
it's not like he was Mark Cuban.
It wasn't like a prime time situation. It was just on Bally Sports Carolina or whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't. This wasn't like a marquee type deal where like Jack is at the Lakers games and shit like that. It's just, or Spike is at the Knicks games. It wasn't like that. I don't know. Like the only thing that could be the negative for the fans is like, this is a team that can and has moved before. Is that a possibility of that happening? You know what I mean?
No, because the NBA is talking about expanding.
Right.
So I wouldn't be worried about teams moving. And if they are to expand, you're gonna probably be looking at Vegas and Seattle, with one of either Memphis or Minnesota moving to the East.
Yeah. I think both of those teams make a lot of sense in the East.
Yeah, for sure. So no, not really. Like that's the only reason I'm not worried is because the NBA is actually in a really good spot talent wise, where this is probably a better time than ever to expand to 32 if you're going to do it. Which might be why you see the CBA change a little bit in terms of, they really only want you to be able to afford 2 guys. But yeah, I guess that's worth talking about, but I wouldn't be too worried about it right now if I'm a Hornets fan.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that was going on in the NBA, pretty big blockbuster trade. Now I don't know I just know the 2 marquee players that were shipped in the deal. Obviously, the Suns looking to try and reload, get a little bit younger, and they do so in the great Bradley Beal from the University of Florida, going to the Suns, and Chris Paul being shipped out to Washington. With some draft picks moved there for Bradley Beal as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Like a second. No, because I mean the Suns basically gave everything for Durant. So the thing that was different in this is Bradley Beal, for whatever reason, the Wizards gave him a no trade clause. So your leverage isn't great. I think there were a couple teams that could have taken him, but from the Wizards' perspective, if Bradley Beal was like, I'm only going to go to the Suns, you're kind of hamstrung. And you'll take what you can get. Really what they're doing is trying, they have a new ownership group there as well. And they're going to look to tear it down to the studs because the Wizards have had no problem being kind of like the poor man's Hawks, I would say, where it's like they're fine with mediocrity and they're paying for it. They gave a shitload of money to Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson, Caron Butler, never did anything.
Yeah.
You give a bunch of money to John Wall, Bradley Beal. You're happy they're there and that they're budding stars, but frankly, we're never really those guys. And to me, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Bradley Beal's a fake superstar. He's a guy who, especially with the
what's up, Tez? Thanks for liking the stream, buddy.
What up, Tez? Was with the exodus of John Wall. Bradley Beal had, somebody's got to score those points.
Yeah.
But if you look at I think he shot over 30% one time in his career from 3.
So let me ask you this. Will Bradley Beal, with the presence of Booker and Durant, it's absolutely the best supporting cast he's ever had.
Yes.
Wouldn't this not allow him to not develop because the development part is over, but
he is
not
now.
Yeah. Not that. I guess what I mean is be able to assume a much different role, be able to, find his shots in a better way rather than having to kind of be the offensive motor. He's now just kind of he's a side dish to the entree now rather than being the entire meal.
You're going to have tons of Bradley Beal 35-point games in the regular season, against some teams and sure. We're going to say, hey, look at this big 3. My worry is how many games is Bradley Beal going to play with Durant? How many games are you going to get those 3 guys out there? Now, if there's a secondary move out there where I'm going to take Ayton and turn him into some role players, I'm a little bit more on board with this. And my problem is the team as constructed now has no depth. You could have taken this same Suns team with Beal instead of Paul. They're not getting past the Nuggets. They weren't beating them in that series. They have absolutely no bench. They traded it all away for Durant, which you should. Durant's a top 10 NBA player of all time. I understand why they did it. I almost like the Durant trade less now with Beal, unless you're going to go ahead. It just doesn't make sense, Corey.
I think Bradley Beal has a bigger
Who's playing
role.
defense on that team?
Yeah,
You're
no,
asking,
they're not. Yeah, no, absolutely.
you're
Absolutely. I mean,
asking an aging Kevin Durant who, God, I mean, how old is he now? Like 33, and he's had injuries like the last 3 years. Like he's getting but like
I know he's our age.
yeah, but that's so different.
I know. It's different in a sport, but
It hurts to get out of bed for me, man.
yeah, but it's not like Chris Paul is necessarily like the best defender on that team either, though.
100%. So
They didn't get worse in defense. They got better in offense, though, I think.
You make a really, really good point. And I think the point you're making is, what did they give up? Nothing. And in a vacuum, do I think they got the better side of the trade? 100%.
Yeah.
I just don't like the way that the Suns are currently constructed, but it's also June, and I would really I would love to see them take Ayton and turn him into a decent big and some bench guys.
Does he even want to be there? Does Ayton
even want to play basketball? I don't even know.
That's a big. I mean, he was a big trade target last offseason.
Yeah, the Suns basically had to re-sign him just to not lose the asset.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the thing: Ayton is not bad, but he's not moving much of the needle for me either. But that's not really a foursome and that I'm super excited about, especially when you look at their bench and nobody on that roster can play defense.
Yeah, I in general don't necessarily even trust the Suns. Ever since that, what was it, 2 seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, when they had the best record in the league, collapsed. Last year, I think that we would have said that they were the only team in the West that could really challenge the Nuggets. Not the case.
But that's because of Durant. Sure.
So they're just kind of one of those franchises where until I see it, I can't really believe it. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. I think I'm trying to think about like a parallels in another sport. I would say who's a team that just consistently just gets a ton of hype that never really comes through. The Browns.
I got to be honest. Yeah. At least the last couple of years.
I mean, well, I think like when you guys went through like the America's
when they traded for Odell.
Yeah. When that happened, that was a lot to deal with for me.
But the real answer is probably the Cowboys.
Cowboys are a good one. I think the Jets might be in that realm if they underperform. The Yankees were in the ALCS last year, so can only give up so much on that one. But I try to just think about another. The Dolphins might kind of be in there as of late. They bounced in the first round in an ugly way. But I don't know. But you get my point. The Suns kind of fall into this category of just like, especially just over the last couple of seasons, where it's like, oh shit, look what they got going in Phoenix. But yet at the same time, ownership group is selling the team due to scandal, and we're gonna go get Kevin Durant. Does nothing with it. He's injured. He's whatever. So I don't know. I just don't trust Phoenix as far as I can throw him. To be honest with you,
that's fair.
This doesn't do a lot for me. I don't. Like, it's not like they got Giannis or you know what I'm saying? Like, This isn't a blockbuster deal. It's like, oh shit, Bradley Beal is going to be different than he was for the last 3 years. I don't necessarily think. I think there's more room for him.
It's sexy. It signifies that they're going for it.
Yeah, they got better. Can they be healthy? That's it. Can Devin Booker be Devin Booker all the way through the playoffs?
Chris Paul certainly isn't going to be playing in Washington this year, so that'll be the interesting part too.
That will be very interesting.
So lastly, and Tez had mentioned it here with the Wizards, also something breaking today was, I don't think it's official just yet, but it was reported that the Wizards and the Celtics are close to a deal with Porzingis.
Interesting.
For Brogdon. So you're just trading injured guy for injured guy. But that's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, because of that, I kind of don't hate it for the Celtics. I think Porzingis could still have some juice in the tank.
Yeah.
And then lastly was Draymond Green declining his player option. He's an outright free agent.
That's fucking interesting, man.
Yeah.
What's a good landing spot for Draymond? Suns?
I mean, here's the thing for Draymond. He's got his rings. He doesn't need to go chasing them.
He's
I
going
think
money.
I don't even know that it's about money. I think you look at what he's like for the last year, with the whole Jordan Poole thing.
Mhm.
I think he can be. You want my honest answer of where his best fit is? Miami. But there's that they don't have the cap space to do it,
Sure.
and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. The other one that actually could make a lot of sense is why wouldn't the Spurs with their infinite cap space take Draymond when they're taking Wemby?
I just don't see Pop in Draymond.
Pop would love Draymond. Pop hates him when he's not on his team. Draymond's a very high basketball IQ guy. He's just the worst.
I don't know. What about? I'm gonna say it, the Cavs.
We don't have this. I mean, would he fit?
Team-wise.
We'd have to. Not really, because you have
Okay.
Mobley and Allen as your. I guess you could play Draymond at the 3, but I'd be.
Yeah, I'd be concerned
because that
about
is our biggest weakness. We have a full
Knicks.
mid-level exception. The thing is you need teams with cap space to do it.
Yeah. Thinking the Nets recently. The Nets
The Nets is a good pick.
Yeah, the Nets would be a good one, I think, for him.
I
just
think you're
based
going
on
to have
cap
an
space.
organization that wants to. I think the Nets make a lot of sense because you're going to want an organization that wants to change the culture, and they'll pitch Draymond on that. That's how.
I wonder if Philly, but I mean, you got Joel, but like he can play a 4 as well. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily need Draymond to slide into a 5.
I don't think he would fit with the city, but what about your Jazz?
The Jazz, I mean, yeah,
I actually feel like that makes a little bit of sense.
I mean, I think he fits perfectly in with the basketball version of the city, like the hard-nosed kind of like bring your lunch pail to work type guys. Like they would love Draymond. But at the same time, they already currently hate him.
I think he'd retire before he goes to Salt Lake City.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I lived there for a year and a half. It's not that bad.
I'm sure.
They have bars.
It's not about bars.
You can have a podcast there. And that's what he's probably mostly concerned with.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think he'd sooner take the TNT money before he.
You think he would get TNT money, Draymond?
I mean, they bring him on every time he's out of the playoffs. He's going to replace Charles Barkley.
That's interesting. It's going to be hilarious.
I guarantee that.
Wow. When Charles is done, which
or when Draymond's done, whichever happens, second, I guess.
So you think they would push Charles Barkley out to put
No. But I'm saying I think Charles Barkley's been very adamant about he's going to retire. I forgot what age, but like he's probably going to do this for another like 3-4 years.
Interesting.
He's
hard to walk away from that cash, but he's solvent. Like he's good.
Yeah, he's good. He's all right.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Draymond's an interesting one. I could see. Does he live in? What about the Pistons? Come back home.
That's the only other one I was going to say.
Come back home.
Yeah, they could do it, and they would throw him the bag too. That
would be a really interesting with him and
Cade?
No, kid from Baylor. Duran or no, Houston. I'm sorry.
I've
you know who I'm talking about.
I do. Why am I?
Duran? Is it Duran? Something like that. I can't remember the fucking name because it's the Pistons. No, it's Jaden Ivey from Purdue.
Oh, Jalen Duran or Duran. Yeah.
Okay. Duran. Yeah. Was he from Houston?
Something like that. Let's see.
Yeah, I think he went to Houston or Baylor.
Memphis.
He went to Memphis. Oh shit, way off. Anyway, but yeah, him at the 5, Draymond at the 4. You got Cade, Jaden the 1-2. I don't know. Do you think the Pistons are close?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
They had Cade at nowhere this year. Cade was not even on the. He played like 3 weeks. And they shut him down
because they wanted to win the Wembanyama sweepstakes, and they failed at that miserably. Their roster right now, they took a flyer on James Wiseman. They have Bogdanovich, who's fine. Killian Hayes has been a bust. Took a flight. It's
But
just a bunch of guys.
You've got two budding superstars though.
Budding, I would push back on, but yeah. Let's make sure they make an all-star team before we call them superstars.
I said budding. I didn't call them superstars.
Well, budding is I made an all-star, and that's budding a superstar. Yeah,
no.
Darius Garland is a budding star.
He's an all-star.
He's made one all-star team.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair. Cade's only played 1 year.
I'm even pushing back on my own guy.
No. But Cade's only played 1 year.
Yeah.
Jaden's only played 1 year. So we're gonna get them both together next year for 2 years.
I'll put it into better reference than Garland. Evan Mobley is a budding star. He's not there yet.
Sure. I guess it's easier to look at a backcourt guy and kind of make that reference or make that that call or that guess there or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. But who is he bumping off the hill? Because there's only so many spots for stars.
Sure, Devin Booker.
Yeah. Devin Booker is like
I don't like him. I don't. No. Top 5? No.
I'll give him top 10. Top 5 is probably too high.
Yeah, top 5 is too much. Let's go. Let's fucking walk down this road. All right, so it's
Jokic,
Giannis,
Luka, Embiid,
LeBron.
Let me.
I mean, the guy just like averaged 30 points a game.
I know. Let's see here.
LeBron he's top 5. I know we're like giving due diligence at this point, like to make sure it's not LeBron.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep LeBron. Well, actually, Tatum is in there.
I got LeBron over Tatum.
That's fine. I'm good with that. Steph, obviously.
Oh yeah. Still yes.
And then I'm gonna still give it to. I got to give my boy Jimmy Butler some love here.
So that's 8.
Kevin
Durant.
Durant. I didn't even say Durant. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 9.
There's 9. I think Lillard. Frankly, it's hard to put Ja Morant somewhere.
What about Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell's top 15.
Okay. Well, we've already done 10, so you're into that.
We're not even in Kawhi Leonard. But also at the same time, like, how much do you trust him now? It's fine. It's a fluid list for sure, but top 5 is
I think you can sell Devin Booker.
I would 20. Here's the thing. I would put Booker right now. I would put him before probably Lillard.
Okay.
So I would put him at about
10. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I dig that. Okay. Yeah.
It's an easy thing to say, but then when you actually do the list, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the great part about where the game is right now is that we're kind of in this, like, when we said this going into last season a little bit, is we're kind of in this like changing of the guard. Whereas like we saw the West dominate for so long, obviously, a Cavs and Raptors championships sprinkled in here and there, but
you've seen the West dominate, or I'm sorry, the Warriors dominate, not necessarily the West.
Yeah, but I mean, even backing it up, I guess, prior to that, when you looked at the teams that were in the West, it was like Warriors, Rockets, Thunder, and then you looked at the Eastern Conference, you're like, nobody over there can hold a candle to these teams right now. Like, it was blatantly obvious that the best teams in the NBA were in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. And I think even the Spurs at one point before Kawhi went to Toronto, like they were in that conversation as well. And then
Clippers and
yeah, exactly. And then you kind of get into this a little bit of the changing of the guard now to where like we don't really know necessarily where the dominant conference is. I think we thought we knew going into this offseason that it was like, okay, the Warriors are going to be right there again, and we knew the Nuggets were going to be good, the Suns were going to be good, all of this stuff. But then we were kind of like, I don't know, but like look at what we got going on in Boston. Look at what we got going on in Milwaukee. Philly's going to be a little bit scary.
Don't sleep on Miami.
Don't sleep on Miami. Obviously, the Cavs are an up and coming team. So it was just kind of all of these question marks.
Like what's going on in Orlando. There's some interesting things going on in Chicago.
Rookie of the year in Orlando, right? Like
Atlanta's got 2 all-stars. Like, yeah.
So it's just an interesting, interesting dynamic in the league right now. And I guess that kind of brings up a question I want to ask you is like, when you're talking about LeBron and what is he going to do, what do you kind of just see? Like, I think everybody sees the writing on the wall. He wants to play with Bronny. I think that everybody pretty much knows that. Is it going to be in purple and gold? What do you think LeBron's
probably not
trajectory looks like over the next 2 years?
I think he plays next year with LA for
with
sure.
The Lakers. Let's be specific.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm giving myself an out. No, he's going to play next year for the Lakers because, and there's been all this talk about the Mavericks and stuff like that. What did we just talk about? Bronny? Or is he playing college next year? USC? You think he's going to go to Dallas? That makes no fucking sense.
I heard a theory.
Okay.
That LeBron's going to sit this year out and rest.
Maybe.
And then just
maybe
sign,
he's
sign with whatever team drafts.
Oh, he's going to do that. He's going to do that.
Yeah. What if he's not good? Like, have we thought about that? Like, what if he's not good?
Well, we're gonna find out this year when he's at USC, and by all accounts, he's always been a bigger name than his game has been. But in like the last year and a half, he's really like his ceiling NBA comp right now is like Donovan Mitchell. Quite frankly,
wow, interesting.
He's a shorter guard.
He's not as big as his dad,
like big.
Right?
Well, no, but Bryce, his second son, is a fucking
huge
brick shit house.
Yeah.
That's going to be that'll be the guy.
How old is he?
I think he's like a sophomore in high school or going to be a sophomore.
So he's still got like 3 more years.
He's already like 6'4" or something, and like he's huge.
Interesting.
But he's like. Have you ever seen like? I'm sorry, it's so funny to see ridiculously tall children. You're like, dude, you're 13. He's like, yeah.
You grab me a six-pack on the way home?
Yeah. But they're still like, do you want to play Pokemon? Because their brains are still the brain of a 13-year-old.
I want a Nintendo Switch for Christmas, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would want one of those.
I would. Yeah, I'd want one too. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, you're asking me what's going to happen to him in the next 2 years. Is he going to sit the entire year out next year?
Yeah. Do you think that that's likely?
If the Lakers aren't in contention, I think it's very likely. If the Lakers have a chance at winning a title, LeBron will put everything into it. We saw that this year. This last year, this playoffs was the most engaged I've seen LeBron since 2017.
Wow.
I truly believe that because he thought he had a team that, can win the whole thing. And the body language of LeBron James when he trusts his teammates against when he doesn't is night and day. And having seen both sides of it, I can tell you LeBron thought he had a good team this year. I think that's just the credit to the Nuggets where although the Lakers got swept, was the most competitive sweep I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and ESPN did a good job of making sure everybody heard that too. Caught a lot of flack for it on social media, but it was
I just watched all the games. I don't even.
Nuggets just swept. This was a good sweep for the Lakers. Like just like sentences that never have ever come out before, and only because it's the Lakers is that being said. But no, I agree with you. I think the way that the Lakers played that series was like, I think that they could have, they might have been able to beat the Heat. To be honest with you,
I think. Well, yeah, I was to say I'll put it to you another way. I think the Nuggets had an easier time with the Heat. It just wasn't a sweep.
Yeah, I think that there were bigger blowout games for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I resonate with that as well.
Yeah,
I think that especially that first game, I think in the Western Conference Finals, they were down like 21 at halftime, ended up losing by 4 or something like that.
The Lakers came all the way back.
Yeah, they came all the way back playing good basketball. So no, I just wonder if there's a step to be lost if you sit out a year, and or would that be good for his aging body? He's coming up on what, 40 now.
I just don't know. He's what, 38?
36, 37, 38, somewhere in there. I mean,
something like that.
Yeah, 20th season. He entered the league when he was 18. So, 38.
Yeah. So it really just kind of depends on what his priority is. So if he, the thing with LeBron is he can age very well with his game, with his passing. Like, there's no reason he couldn't just be a point guard and play that way. In the same way that, like, the Sixers tried to make, or use Ben Simmons as a point guard, except LeBron isn't afraid to actually shoot the ball or like play offense and is still an athlete and like loves the game. But I think LeBron will be the guy who hangs on for as long as he can.
Yeah.
But I also feel like he'll feel comfortable enough stepping away when his kids are actually playing. And you're right. I don't know that Bronny is going to be an NBA player. I think he'll be a first rounder. Just on potential alone. And of course, knowing you're going to basically get LeBron James, even for a season, is worth taking a guy at 22.
Sure. I mean,
like if you're the Hornets or like where's like a team
or shit. I mean, at that point, like if he's getting drafted at 22, he's going to a playoff team. Like,
yeah.
And it could be the Spurs. You know what I mean? Like,
God forbid it's the Celtics, though.
Oh my God.
LeBron hates Boston.
That would be
so funny.
I think the dream would be that you know who it really could be at 22?
Cavs. That is a big theory around here. There's just a lot of things that would have to go right. And with the roster that we have. So funny enough, in the Donovan Mitchell trade, that was a cognitive effort. I believe that was one of there was one first round pick they did not give in the trade.
That was 24.
And it was for the draft that, assuming Bronny comes out after his freshman year. Yeah.
That'd be fucking nuts.
Home,
oh my God. Home. That would be fucking crazy. LeBron and Bronny.
Because here's the thing. Honestly, what did the Cavs need? A wing.
Rob, thanks for liking the stream, man. Kind of coming at the tail end here, but we appreciate you nonetheless, big dog. And as everyone, if you don't already know, all of our podcasts are available on YouTube if you want to watch the video. If you want to listen to us on your commute, you can check it out on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts. We're all over. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can get us. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Rob, you were stuck at work, but you're home now. Thank goodness.
Welcome what are we drinking, Rob?
Yeah.
If I was stuck at work and get home.
Oh, he's still in the parking lot and he's got us on.
Love that.
Love it.
Don't drink, fucking, Rob. Don't drink.
Don't. Yeah. Put the beer down. Aaron's wrong. All right.
We're cracking O'Doul's. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. How far?
It's O'Dweeds, man.
How far is your drive? I don't know. That's fucking dedication there, Rob. We appreciate you driving.
Love that about you.
What else we got for tonight, Aaron?
I know we've covered a lot here. We wanted to touch on what else do we want to touch on?
I mean, U.S. Open. Kind of talked
about we kind of already touched on that at the top. We were just taking a little bit of a victory lap.
Yeah, good for us.
Good for us, man. Way to win some money. So you know what? I want to give you the floor here for a second. Talk to the fans about the Redlegs, man.
Yeah, man. It's fucking crazy. I mean, we go into this season, and for those of you that don't know, the Reds are on an 11-game winning streak. They sit atop the NL Central. They just got done sweeping the defending World Series champion Houston Astros, followed by another sweep of the Colorado Rockies, who aren't a good baseball team. But nonetheless, a sweep is a sweep, and it's hard to do. And it's a very young roster, actually the youngest roster in baseball, Cleveland Guardians. The sixth youngest roster in the major leagues are the Cincinnati Reds. They've got multiple call-ups this year that have just been overperforming. Obviously, everybody's heard about Ellie De La Cruz. the shortstop, third baseman that the Reds have called up. He's the 4th overall prospect in baseball. I have dubbed him the Jesus Christ of the Cincinnati Reds, and it has not been disappointing.
So is the mayor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We know he's not one for dramatics, but there's Matt McClain, another guy that they've called up that has just played phenomenal baseball as well. Andrew Abbott, I believe he got beat up a little bit today in his 3rd appearance, or 3rd or 4th, but he went 17 straight innings without allowing a run, which phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
And these are all young guys.
These are very young. These guys are all under 26. Jonathan India playing good baseball. Joey Votto just came up 2 nights ago, and his second at bat, he hits a home run. So there's just kind of a vibe going on right now. Alexis Diaz called him up. He's having a great season as a closer.
And it's nice to see Votto back because you have all of these young guys, but you do have the veteran in the locker as well that has the perspective. And this is something about baseball that is very unique to the sport, where I listened to you and Todd last year talk about how awful this team is. And
they started off that way.
And absolutely. But there's something about having that pantry, that the young pride. There's always this like glimmer of hope in baseball, where football is probably the closest, where the schedule is designed and the draft is designed to get bad teams back to good as quickly as possible. And that's the closest comparison I can give. But in basketball, you need a top 7 guy to even have a chance to win a championship. But this is the one thing I love about baseball. And as a Guardians fan, the only time we're ever in contention, because, we're constantly trading our big names away because we can't sign them. So for you guys getting all these young guys coming in right now, you're in the very honeymoon stage. So talk to me about that, Corey, is learning these new guys, having these, that you have some team control in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's a necessity, I think, for this team to be, in order to contend at all, because time after time, what ownership has proven to fans is that, there's a limit that they're willing to keep going back to the pocket to shell out talent for this team. They did it in 2020. Obviously, you had guys like Castellanos, you had Jesse Winker, you had Eugenio Suarez, you had Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, just big bats up and Tucker Barnhart, just guys up and down the lineup that pretty much just a bullpen away from being a team that could have seriously contended for a World Series. And going out and getting guys like Castellanos and Moustakas was too much, and that they were done at that point. They didn't have the ability.
Extended a little bit.
Well, yeah, or they had just fully extended, and they weren't able or willing to go out. And it's like, this is the team we have, and we have to ride with it. And that pisses a lot of fans off, rightfully so, I think, because at the end of the day, baseball is the one sport where you can control who's on your roster. Mm-hmm. You can go out and get talent if you're willing to spend the money. And at the same time, like, small market owners absolutely have smaller pockets. Like, that's just the way it works. The TV deals are much smaller for a Cleveland or a Pittsburgh or a Cincinnati than they are New York or even Seattle or Los Angeles or even Detroit. They're just smaller. So that's always been kind of frustrating. So to kind of get back into this realm that we only really had when you're looking at like Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, I'm talking like mid early 2000s. It's nice. It's nice to see, because that they have the ability to go get those other pieces now. Like, they can afford right now. The only real burden on payroll right now is Joey Votto. And he's only got, I think, 1 or 2 more years left on his deal. So at this point,
I was living in Cincinnati when they signed that deal.
the Joey Votto is a 10-year extension,
Yeah.
$400 million, I think, which now is cheap, I believe. You know what I mean? Or no, it's
Right.
300 million, 10 years, 300 million. It's a cheap deal for what it was at the time. You know, he's an MVP. So there's definitely been talk about trade deadline already here, or not here, you know, but in Reds country. The word on the street is that the Reds are going to be buyers. I'm not holding my breath just because I've been hurt so many times.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Do you want to be buyers?
I think you need to be buyers. I think you need to continue because at the end of the day, your current lineup will only take you so far. I think when you look at the World Series winners, at the end of the day, it comes down to the guys that are standing up on the plate or on the dish. Like,
yeah,
do you have enough pitching depth to be able to carry you through 3 series, potentially going 7 games in 2 of them to get you to bring it home? Because the teams that can go far in October are the teams that can either win series quickly and save bullpen, save rotation, all of these things, get the rest that they need for their ace, or 2, just have loaded pitching depth like you saw the Braves do a couple years ago, like you saw the Nationals do a couple years ago. I mean, shit, just look at who the Astros had last year in that rotation. It's pitching depth. So they absolutely need back end bullpen. I would say they could probably use another starting pitcher as well. And that's what I would really, because you got Lodolo out, you got Green out, or not out. You know, Lodolo just needs to get back to it. But yeah, I think they absolutely need more pitching. I don't think bats are an issue right now for the Reds.
No. My only counter is you have a young team that is probably peaking a little too early, right? And what I mean by that is,
I mean, it's June.
Yeah, but you're calling these guys. So in order to make these trades in baseball, baseball is a very different trade market than other leagues. You're giving up farm guys for guys who can contribute now. You know, the teams that are trading away the good players, you know, oftentimes are looking for who's the guy that's going to pop in 2, 3, 4 years. For the Reds, it seems like, and keep in mind, this is a very outsider's perspective, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but you have an influx of very, very young talent, which in theory, of course, has depleted the farm system just a little bit because obviously your best guys are now on the major league roster. I'm not saying you don't still have good guys in the farm system, but of course, when you talk about like, you know, Ellie De La Cruz, who of course was pretty much untouchable anyways, those are the kind of guys that you give away to bring in the huge splash market guys. You know, the guy who's the top prospect in your farm system or stuff like that. You know, for the Reds, I don't see a huge competitive disadvantage in the Central with the way that the roster is constructed currently. And in baseball, really all you got to do is get in. All you got to do is get in and you can get frisky and stuff like that. If it's a Votto thing, fine, maybe. But, you know, for the Reds, I'm not saying don't make moves. I'm not saying don't get a bullpen arm, you know, or a 4th starter or something like that. I just don't think that this team needs to make a big splash.
So let me clarify. You can still
be buyers without,
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think big splash is their MO either.
I would hope that they don't do that this year.
Yeah, I don't think that that's what you would see out of the Reds. I think what you would see is like, you know, a late top 10 prospect for like Aroldis Chapman to get more back end bullpen help. You know, I don't see going out and trying to get like a Scherzer or like, you know, going out and trying to, you know, scoop up Greinke or something like that. I just don't see that, like something like that happening.
Don't come and take Clase from us. That's all I'm saying.
You know who a big one that's been tossed around a lot? Beebs.
I would gladly trade Beebs right now.
Yeah, I don't know what you'd get for him, but you know what I mean? Like
I'd want 3 top prospects.
Like top what though is the question, Aaron. Like that's the thing. And to address the other point, like the Reds still have a very, very good farm system still.
Yeah.
We've only really called up like 3 or 4 guys out of that, 2 of which are pitchers. So there's still a lot in the tank there. And I think all of that this really does for the Reds in terms of their prospect value, it kind of bolsters it a little bit, because when you look at the talent that they've already developed and the quick success that they've gotten in the early goings here, all that does is speak volumes about what's going on in Louisville, what's going on in Chattanooga, what's going on in Daytona, to be able to say that these guys are we see the same things. What we saw in Ellie, we see in him. What we saw in McLean, we see in this guy. What we saw in Abbott, we see in this guy. So that to that point, I think that it might help a little bit. But splashy. No, I don't see the Reds going out and getting crazy here. But like a Bieber or like Chapman or something like that, guys that aren't necessarily going to demand.
Bieber would be splashy.
I don't think
Cy Young
winner. But I don't think you're getting Cy Young performance out of him.
I mean, he's still a 3-point ERA guy.
Sure. And again, this is I don't necessarily think that you're not getting a Scherzer though. You know what I mean? Like when I'm thinking splashy, I'm thinking like top 5 pitchers or something crazy.
Sure. I hear you, but I also think I want the Guardians to trade Bieber at the trade deadline, because
what's the logic there?
I don't think that we're going to contend this year.
Right. So get what you can out of them.
Get what we can. McKenzie is already out, who's supposed to be our ace moving forward, is already out for a second time this year. We just called up our best pitcher out of the minor leagues today. A little bit of a rocky start, but he's a 2-point ERA and double and triple with more strikeouts than innings kind of guy. Mm-hmm. Like real legitimate prospect. And for the Guardians, we're not going to be able to afford Bieber. And it's kind of similar to when we traded away like Cliff Lee. It's not necessarily that this guy's at the top of his game, but he still has a shitload of game. And there's going to be every contending team wants starting pitching.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't trade him now. I would trade him 2 days a day on the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You're gonna get bids, and you're gonna be able to drive up the price.
Yeah. The thing about you catch somebody with their pants down kind of deal. When teams like the Yankees or
I need a third starter. Bieber is a third starter. Oh my God, that'd be incredible for a team that can just pay unlimited money. Yeah,
I think the Reds have gotten their ace, and he's on the DL right now. But Hunter Green, I think he's that. He's in terms of strikeouts per 9, he's second in the National League right now, only behind Spencer Strider. So I think that's pretty good company.
Well, the Reds only make that move if they think they can take on Bieber long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw them do that with a cut. Right. You saw him do that with Nick Castellanos. You saw him do that with Moustakas. You saw this list goes on. Suarez.
I wouldn't pay him 7 years worth of money, but if I'm like the Astros or the Yankees or the Dodgers, that's
sign him to a front loaded deal. Yeah, get him in, make it a contract that you can move easily if you need to. Absolutely. So. Yeah, so to the point of what it's like right now, it's fun. And that's kind of where my mindset is for the Reds right now, is like I'm just enjoying the streak. It's fun watching them. Like I got to watch them today. They're on at like 12:30 on ESPN Plus, so that was fucking sweet. I could just like turn on the Reds game at work because I don't get to watch them being here in Detroit. They're coming up to Detroit actually at the end of the season too, which could be, the trajectory right now. Tigers are going to be dog shit. The Reds could be contending for the division based on right now. I mean, they're in the lead right now, right? So you have to assume that. You have to aim for that, right? I think division is a realistic sense when you look at the landscape of the NL Central right now. That like going into the season is like Cardinals. Yeah, Cardinals are going to win the NL Central. No, they're the worst team in the division right now. Pirates came out to an early start, starting to figure out that the Pirates are who we thought they were. They just got swept by the Cubs. Brewers took another loss today, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, they were down like 8-2 or something like that. Early in the early goings there.
Lost 5-1 today.
Lost 5-1. So the Reds are a solid game and a half up right now.
Yeah, they are a game and a half up and on an 11-game tear.
Big test going against the Braves. I mean, if they win the series against the Braves, I'm not saying continue the streak. win the series against the Braves. That would be 8 out of the last 9 series that they've won. That's huge. That's
right.
I mean, you win series, you will win the division.
Yeah, and this is always my favorite one to talk to you about because, we've said this multiple times in our friendship. I have no animosity towards the Reds. We don't.
Right.
We play each other 4 times a year.
I was rooting for the Indians when they were playing the Cubs. In the
right,
World
exactly.
Series.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something about that. There's just this disconnect, but I mean that in a good way. Where I'm, because obviously the Bengals and the Browns, I can't
right.
It just goes with the territory, right? Like I can't pick my least favorite person. You know what I mean? I was just like,
Sure.
I hate them all. I hate them all equally. Not in a disrespectful way. A lot of that comes from respect. But for the Reds, I can actually sit here, watch this, and frankly, Corey, as a sports fan, enjoy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have to. The only ever time I was rooting against him was when we were in college, and I just wanted to keep holding on to because my team, Cleveland, always sucked. So the only thing I ever had over you was like, well, when was the last time Cincinnati won a playoff series? So I'd root for the Reds, but then when they got in the playoffs, I'd be like, well, fuck them to death. I want to keep this stat alive. And now that the Bengals have well broken through that ceiling, not too worried about it anymore. So congratulations. I'm rooting hard for the Reds.
Yeah, man. And just like when we were, I believe, the day after your wedding, it was like a fucking 6-hour playoff game for the Guardians.
1-0, 25 or whatever the hell it was. It's like 16 innings.
Yeah. And it was a blast. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of the same. We have no reason not to, like you said, play each other 4 games out of the year, have almost no direct impact on each other. If anything, it's just our own egos that get in the way of it. But at the end of the day, it's Ohio, and we root for the small market.
If the Reds made the World Series against anybody else but the Guardians, of course, that's who I would be rooting for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say this too, and we can sign off or whatever we want to do. But Ellie looks like the real deal.
Yeah.
Like face of the, not face of, but like one of the face of the league, like where like we thought Fernando Tatis was going to be, kind of deal. Maybe not to the like Ohtani level, of course, but somewhere between that, probably just like a step below Aaron Judge. I think that's his ceiling.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want to hear.
Hell yeah, I'll take 2.
Fuck yeah, right. Yeah, and what's crazy is he might not be the best rookie on the Reds team right now. That honor might be going to McLean. No one's talking about McLean right now. He's batting like 312, and he's been up in the majors for like a month longer than Ellie. No one's talking about.
He's 6'5", 200 pounds, and hits
no,
the
he's
mile.
And runs as fast as a fucking mongoose. No, he doesn't do that. Ellie hits at like 118. I think he hit I believe it was yesterday. He hit an Oppo left field home run, and the headline was exit velocity only 98 miles an hour off the bat of Ellie De La Cruz. And
he looks exactly what I would build my like road
creative
to the show
player.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
Like how tall can he be?
Yeah. How fast can he
max his power and speed out? Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a freak, and I think
I'm excited to watch him.
Yeah, it's a fun problem to have when you have too many good young infielders. So
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, it's been a fun show. It's been a show all over the place. If you're just tuning in now, don't forget you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts. The audio will be up tomorrow at 11 a.m. For Aaron, I'm Corey. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Rally Talk Sports with Todd and Bobby. We'll see you guys then.
Happy birthday, John Goodman.
We love you.